So for this activity number 11, we had to research what were the pros and cons and standardized test. And first off, I would like to give definition I found on the website we were given, which is standardized test is any test that's administered, scored, and interpreted in a standard predetermined manner. So from the website we got, we understood that most proponents feel that standardized tests are fair and objective that measure student ability. However, opponents think that it is neither fair or objective. Thus, it is a pretty debatable topic, and they both give an argument, and the other one sees it the opposite way. Let's take a look at what I felt were the most important pros and cons for standardized tests. So here I did a Venn diagram. On the left side we have the pros, and on the right side we have the cons here on the right side. So in the first pro that I wrote means that successful school systems have make significant gains, and it uses frequent standardized tests to monitor system progress. Thus, there are a lot of school systems such as the Ivy League and so on that feel that through a standardized test, their system gets better, and it also helps to monitor students' understanding and progress. And the contrary of this one would be that the opponents feel that standardized tests are unfair and discriminatory against non-English speakers and students with special needs. Often English language learners have to do tests without mastering the language, and especially students take the same test as a regular student. This reminded me of my high school, because I went to an American school, and we had to do so many standardized tests, and before I actually learned English, I had to do the practice SAT and others, and I had no idea what I was answering because I hadn't finished learning the language. So I'm agree with the cons in this one. Next, in the pros, it means that standards tests are inclusive and non-discriminatory because the ensured content is equivalent for all students. They argue that you should not separate tests for minorities or accepting children with disabilities because that would be unfair and you would be making a difference between students. However, the contrary, on the con side, we have that it measures only a small portion of what makes education meaningful. It cannot measure, many teachers agree on this, the creativity level of students, critical thinking, resilience, motivation, curiosity, endurance, reliability, self-awareness, self-discipline, leadership, civic-mindedness, courage, honesty, and integrity. I would have to say that I'm also on the con side here because I feel that all of these things cannot be measured with a standardized test, but they are really, really useful for students' life in general when they become an adult. So next, on the pros, we have that standardized tests are not narrowing the curriculum. They're rather focusing on important basic skills all students need to master. It raises students' achievement and improves quality of the curriculum. However, on the contrary side, we have that instruction time is being consumed by monotonous test preparation. Some schools use more than a quarter of the year's instruction to test prep. They go as far as 2.5 hours per day and on vacation dates. I remember in my high school, before we actually took the SAT, there were many Saturdays that we had to go to school and pretend we were taking the final test. So it would take us like around 6 hours. So it is a lot of time being consuming here. Okay, so now our fourth one is that most parents approve of a standardized test. Parents see standardized tests as a way to measure their son's improvement and the quality of the school. So that's the parents' perspective. However, on the contrary side, we have that Standardized tests causes severe stress in younger students. It even has gone as far as tests having instructions on what to do if the students vomit on it. It was never my case as a student. It did make me nervous, but I never went as far as vomiting. But I did have some classmates that would cry, would have like nervous breakdowns and everything because of the pressure of taking the test. Okay, so next is that on the pro side is that most teachers and administrators approve of standardized tests. They say it improves student attitudes, engagement, and effort. However, research was done, and it says that there is a creativity crisis in America because standardized tests dumbs down curricula and jeopardizes the country's economic future. If we neglect creative students in school because of the structure and the testing movement, they become underachievers. So I think that is true. I had many creative friends in school that didn't get into a good college because of their SAT scores, but they were really, really talented. Okay, so we're almost done. On the pro side, we have that stricter standards and increased testing are better preparing school for students for college. So this kind of tests are good for developing skills that students may need when they go to college. However, on the contrary side, we have that excessive testing may teach children to be good at taking tests, but does not prepare them for productive adult lives. People have gone as far as admitting that standardized testing causes on students' professional life to be competent mediocrity. And I do believe this. I believe that there are many students that can be really good at test taking and are trained for this, but when it comes to adult life and making decisions or critical thinking, it can be a lot tougher on them. And on the pro side, they feel that teacher-graded assessments are inadequate alternative to standardized tests because they are subjectively scored and unreliable. Some teachers take into consideration non-cognitive outcomes, including student class participation, perceived effort, progress over the period of the course, and comportment, which are relevant to subject matter mastery. However, on the contrary side, we have that using test scores to reward and punish teachers and schools encourages the teachers to cheat the system for their own gain. It is very common, and many investigations over the years have been done to punish the teachers who graded wrongly or cheated another way. The standardized tests are not only a pressure for students, but if students get overall a bad grade, that means that the teacher is doing it wrong, thus the school is doing it wrong, thus the government can take funds out of the school or they can sanction them in any way. So that's what pushes teachers to be caught in this kind of situations. And then in the middle, I didn't really find anything similar to put in the Venn diagram, so I just wrote that both pros and cons are trying to modify it and decide which is best for education. So that's the goal in general. And I think that would be all. Thank you.